Hi everybody, welcome to Rapid Injury Recovery Facebook Live, and I'm really happy to be here today. Today's topic is about why you must let go of anger and frustration. I'm just going to wait, a little bit for people to jump on because I know that it takes a little time for people to jump on, okay? So today's topic again is about anger and frustration and why it's so important to let it go, because just like other emotional states, it leads to things that you don't want to happen. It just adds injury to insult. But because so many of us aren't aware of how our emotions actually affect us, we often fall into traps, okay? So that's why letting go of a negative emotional state is so important. Okay, let's get started. So again, I'm really happy to be here. It's Rapid Injury Recovery Facebook Live, and today's topic is about why you must let go of anger and frustration. In everybody's life, there's always going to be things that happen to us, that surprise us, that shock us, that make us extremely unhappy, and one of those things is going to be a reaction of anger. Now, I will admit that in my particular case, anger is usually my first reaction when I am caught off guard, or when things aren't going well for me as I planned. And the thing is that, as usual, we always have to go back to what we know. And the fact is that we can't control all the things that happen outside of us, that we can't control other people. We can't force them to do things that we want them to do. And even if you can, well, unfortunately, you are so wrong. No movement in this world that has ever forced people to do things against their will, even if it's for their own good, or even through a misconception about what is good for everybody, because not what is good for everybody actually exists, okay? It doesn't. There is no one size fits all. So anything that is trying to force other people to do things the way we see it, it ain't gonna last very long, okay? Because there's too much of a force of other people having their own will. So, what are the things that anger does to a person? Well, that brings to mind a number of cases. I guess there was this one case of a guy that I was helping. And he was a pretty smart guy. He had a great sense of humor. But while he was in corporate, he had been told that he had no imagination, that he wasn't very creative, that, all the things that obviously weren't true. And he suffered through this job. And he eventually ended up retiring as early as he possibly could to get out from under that. Okay, but the thing is that even though he had left the situation, he had not let go of what was simmering inside himself. And then one day, because he had a child very late in life, one day he raised his hand at his little boy, and he was going to strike him, and he held himself back. Now, he recoiled. He realized, oh my God, I almost did something terrible. That pent-up anger inside him, it almost drove him to do something which was unspeakable, because he would never ever harm his own family. He loved them so much. But here he was in that one split second where he almost made a terrible mistake. And he knew at that point that he had to do something, and it better be right now. So he did whatever he could. He went to see a psychotherapist, or a psychiatrist, and he sought help. Unfortunately, he was very disappointed because that person told him, well, okay, you can read this book or you can read that book. And he got mad at that. He was really angry about that, okay? So he wasn't, he thought, oh my God, you know, all this did was just raise his anger level even more, raise his frustration level even more. He said, you know, I'm looking for help. I'm not looking for directions to the library, to the bookstore. I want you to help me. So he ended up leaving that particular practitioner. And then he heard about me from his brother-in-law, and he decided, you know, he would explore the opportunity. So he was always fascinated with Chinese medicine anyway, so now this was his chance to actually experience something. So it was very important to him that he knew, because I didn't know all his history before he contacted me, that the person that he was going to be contacting would actually give him some outright help. Okay, so that was very important to him. And so we went through my usual intake for a couple of hours, got a really good physical as well as psychological profile, which is extremely important. In fact, it's the most important thing any doctor can ever do for you, okay? Is to figure out why you are the way you are, why you feel the way you do. Those are more important, okay, than the actual physical issues that you have. But he was coming to me for anger management. Well, the thing is management is not in my vocabulary either. We eliminate, we transform, we transcend all that stuff, okay? Because that's more important than anything else. So as we worked together, and yeah, you know, there was acupuncture and there was herbal prescriptions for whatever was ailing him. But, you know, he was suffering from all the very common symptoms of a high degree of anger, a high degree of a very negative emotional state, because anger affects the liver, okay? And the liver is governs our energy output. Okay, because the liver in Chinese anatomy is responsible for allowing us to have enough energy throughout our body in order to carry out what we have to do in life. When the energy gets blocked because of a very negative emotional state due to anger, frustration, resentment, and yes, holding grudges, very important, okay? Then we end up becoming weak. We end up having pain, some pain or discomfort under our rib cage, because that's where the liver is. Okay, so on both sides of the rib cage, both sides of the body. And, you know, we can have headaches, we can have a really red face, we can have, well, of course, a fiery anger. Everything just gets more and more emphasized, okay? So he was also told by a doctor that he had cancer cells going through his body and to prepare to die. Now I thought, that's a rather irresponsible thing to say. And to give up like that? No, life. So that's why it's really important that you not believe everything that you are told, because that also means that you can get into a very angry state as well. So, you know, anger comes from feeling helpless. It comes from feeling that you have no control over life. But you do. You have control over yourself. You have control over your mind and your body. You have control over your emotional state. You know, like, in the end, he was so much better off after we finished working with each other, because the light of his eyes was back. His face was nice and bright again. No more swarthiness and darkness and redness. You know, he had his his Oh, geez. His digestive problems all under control. He was able to exercise and be happy again. You know, he had a good relationship with his wife and his son. You know, like, and but the most important thing for him was that he had control. He now, before he reacted, he would think about what was happening and stop himself from doing something that he might regret. Or it would stop him from saying something that he might regret. Because he had gotten to the point where, you know, he'd be in a parking lot and he'd pick a fight with some guy in the parking lot because that guy had taken his parking spot. And, you know, so he was so bothered over such little things. But he had come a very long way. I mean, for me, my angry state only took me to almost the depths of a cancer scare. And if I hadn't had that cancer scare, then I wouldn't have looked at my life and done something about it very, very quickly and decided that I wasn't going to be a victim anymore, okay? Now, that isn't to say that things don't sneak up on me or surprise me and make me angry. It's not my automatic reaction to things like it used to be, but it's still there. Now, the challenge for me is how fast can I dissipate it? How fast can I catch it so that I regain my self-control and don't do or say something that is damaging to myself and to others, okay? Now, we come to the part about holding grudges, because grudges are long-term, okay, for a lot of people. And a lot of people go to their grave holding grudges about some wrongdoing that was done to them years, decades, several decades before. As again, you know, we have no control over what other people do, what decisions they make. But we have to make, even if they affect us. So we have to make the best of what it is, because there's always, as Napoleon Hill says, there's always an opportunity in every adversity. So think about this. If you're holding a grudge, what's it really all about? How old is it? Does it really still exist? Haven't you changed your life because of the situation? Has it actually, you know, driven you to make your own decisions, to take control of your life? Isn't that more important than holding a grudge forever and dying? Because, like I said, you know, the liver is responsible for spreading energy throughout your body. And I have seen the deterioration of the body and the mind because of the lack of energy that is going through that person. And basically it is your life force, okay? There is no enjoyment in life if you can't have the freedom of mobility, the freedom of autonomy. There is no joy in life when you are told that, you know, you can't walk, that you have to be in a wheelchair, that, you know, for whatever reason. And of course, mentally and emotionally, you are stuck, just like you are physically. But it begins in the mind first. So get unstuck as soon as you can. Forgive yourself as soon as you can. Move on. So, this is so important because so many people are so angry about whatever. And maybe it's not really important. In the long run, it isn't important. Forgive yourself. Move on with your life. Get your energy back. Everybody talks about, I have no energy. This could be one of the reasons. But in any case, almost any negative, chronic negative emotional state is going to rob you of your life force, of your life energy. Okay, so I'll be back in 2 weeks' time. I'm taking some time off. My brothers are coming in to visit me from out of town. and it's been a long time coming. So this is a very special week for me over the next week. So I will see you 2 weeks, and we will talk about 3 top strategies that you can use to let go of anger and frustration, and especially stop holding grudges, okay? So talk to you soon, and have an awesome week. Oh yeah, and by the way, I have this new tool. It's called Concussion Answers on my website, www.drjoanny.com. Go in there and take a look at it, okay? It's a little ebook that I wrote, which it contains the 10 concrete steps to getting return to play, as well as other things about how to get a good night's sleep, okay? So have an awesome week. Bye.